Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Sweden. We're going to head up towards Gothenburg once again, Göteborg as you would say in Swedish, the Swedish craft beer capital up on the west coast, and we're going to have a look at another beer from a brewery who I always enjoy trying things from, and this is one of my favourite series of beers that these guys do. So for this review then we are going to go to OO Brewing, who are very well known for their New England Hazy IPAs, and this is another beer from the 50/50 series, which is their dual hopped series. They do have a 100 series as well, but you don't see too many of those, and this is the third one I believe they've released through Systembolaget this year. This beer came out as part of the Lokal Småskaligt assortment in June 2020. But this particular beer is the 50/50 Simcoe Ekuanot, and it's another New England IPA coming in at 6.5% ABV. So this the local releases this year from OO Brewing, they kind of kicked off with the 100 Citra, which was purely, Citra hop. That's their single hop series of beers that they do, and that one had a yellow cover on it. Then came the 50/50, which was Citra Mosaic, so it had yellow and it had green on it. Then we had the 50/50 Mosaic Simcoe, which was blue and green, if you remember last month. And this month we have the 50/50 Simcoe Ekuanot, so the blue for the Simcoe and the red for the Ekuanot actually. So I think the one next month will be Ekuanot and something else, so I'm really curious to see what hop it is that they put in the next one. But I really enjoy this 50/50 series. It's very good from an educational perspective to teach you about the different hops and things like that. I just wish they did a 100 series every month as well. Actually, it would have been quite cool if they'd been releasing these, and they'd also released like a 100 Mosaic and a 100 Simcoe and then a 100 Ekuanot and things this month. It would be cool if they were doing that. Another interesting thing maybe to do with this as well would be to do like a proper West Coast IPA along with these as well, so a 50/50 West Coast and a 50/50 New England actually. That would be a very interesting project for these guys. But yeah, like I say, this is a brewery who are very well known for the New England IPAs. That said, I have had some other very good beers from them in the past. The Arctos Imperial Stout, the Long Boil Barley Wine, the Baltic Porters and things that I've had from them recently as well. And apparently they also have the Ecta-Pils, which I know is Peter, the Master of the Hoppit's favourite pills. So I do need to have a review of that one, because it's one that I've just never done so far actually. But yeah, these guys are a very, very nice brewery. The brewer is very well respected as well, and it's one of the Swedish breweries that I highly recommend you check out if you get the chance. But yeah, make sure you check out this brewery. I'm very curious to see how this one turns out. The 50/50 Simcoe Ekuanot New England IPA, 6.5%. So yeah, let's see how we go with this one then. As always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from OO Brewing before. No doubt you will see some more added to that in the fairly near future. There's all the usual social media down there as well. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, province, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, on to my brewery notes then, to tell you a little bit about OO Brewing then. So OO Brewing, as I've told you already, are based in Gothenburg, Göteborg as you would say in Swedish, up on the west coast, and the company was founded back in 2011 by Olaf and Ole Andersson, who are not related, but they are very close childhood friends, and for many years they were also avid homebrewers together as well. So the pair have always been very, very interested in beers, and Ole has apparently been heavily involved in the Gothenburg beer scene since pre-drinking age, and he was the head brewer originally at Stigbjergets Brewery, who really kind of brought this whole haze craze into Sweden. He was the designer of the Narangi, or the brewer of the original Narangi beer from OO, which is one of their classic beers. He also brewed the GBG Beer Week 2016 beer, and also the Amazing Haze, and all three of these beers are kind of cult classics, if you like, when it comes to Swedish craft brewing. But the original OO Brewing beers were produced in the same brewery as Stigbjergets. So while Ole takes care of the brewing side of the business, Olaf manages the business side of it, but he also works in Copenhagen at a marketing agency as well, and I think there are plans for him in the future to relocate to Gothenburg again and you know, move into the brewery full time. But as far as I understand, he is still working in Copenhagen part time as well. But apparently these guys just enjoy making beers that they would like to drink themselves. They mainly focus on the New England IPAs, like I said, but you can get some other very nice styles from them as well. The Pilsners, the Imperial Stouts, the barley wines. You know, try some of the other styles that these guys do as well, because they always turn out to be very, very nice. That's why Ole Anderson is a very, very well respected brewer. In April of 2017 though, Ole left Stigberget and he fully invested his time in OO Brewing, and the company invested in a new facility in Hisingen near the Tingsted Bridge, and this is equipped with a 2,000 litre brewing system, which means they have a brewing capacity of up to 500,000 litres of beer per year. The first year in that brewery, in 2018, I believe they produced around 100,000 litres, and they're planning to expand this up to capacity over the next few years. I think they produced about 200,000 litres of beer across 2019, but obviously with the whole COVID-19 situation in 2020, I don't think they are going to be able to kind of push on from that, because you know, everything is slowing down a little bit, so a lot of the exports and stuff will be slowing down, to be honest with you. But as of June 2020, when I'm filming this review for you, they've produced around 60 different kinds of beer. The exact number on Untappd is 59, but I would wonder if that is, you know, wholly accurate. As I always say, take Untappd with a little bit of a pinch of salt, but it's usually a very good barometer for seeing how good a beer is going to be. But these guys are a very, very well respected Swedish brewery, and a very talented brewer at the helm, of course, as well, in Ole Anderson. So yeah, if you're interested in Swedish beers, I really recommend that you check out the Narangi, because that is one of their kind of classic beers, if you like. And I'm a big fan of the Muscles and the Evergreen as well, the more West Coasty type IPAs. But I've had some really, really good beers from these guys recently. Charismatico, I think, is the best one that I've had from them. So far, actually, I think that's the best IPA that I've had from OO Brewing. So hopefully that's one that makes a reappearance at some point soon. I was very, very impressed with that one. So yeah, let's leave it at that for the history section of the video then. If you want to learn more about this brewery, you can check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on. And of course, you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn more about all of the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, let's see how we get on with this one then. I'll just let you have a little quick look at the artwork of this one before we open up. As you can see, it is very similar to the other beers that you'll find in the 50/50 series from OO Brewing. You know, two kind of blocks of colour. The blue in this one represents the Simcoe, the red represents the Ekuanot, and we know that because the last beer that we had was Mosaic Simcoe, and it was, yeah, green on the top and blue on the bottom, if I remember rightly. But yeah, 50/50, the 50/50 Mosaic, sorry, the 50/50 Simcoe Ekuanot, 6.5% New England IPA, and there you can see there is the OO Brewing symbol there for Olaf and Ole. So yeah, nicely presented beer. This one, a 440ml can. I think this one cost me 45 Swedish crowns, which is roughly about £4. Probably a bit less than that actually, so about €4.50 or something like that. And I think in American dollars, yeah, about $4.50, $5, something like that. So yeah, it should be a very nice beer, this one. This was released, as I said to you, as part of the local Småska Lukt assortment at the start of June in 2020, and it was released along with the Nova IPA, which I haven't been able to get my hands on yet, so I need to check on Systembolaget and see if I can get a hold of one of those, because I've heard that that's a good beer, and obviously I like reviewing the different things from OO Brewing as well. But let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the tasting then. So Simcoe and Ekuanot are both hops that we are quite familiar with, of course. I've put a little bit too much of that in the glass there, but it still should be okay. Simcoe, as we know, is a lovely soft kind of passion fruity type hop. I've always found it gives you an almost kind of milky passion fruity quality, but Ekuanot is a heavily lime leaning hop. I think Simcoe has around 11-12% alpha acid, and I think Ekuanot is slightly higher at like 13 or 14 actually. The spelling of the name Ekuanot has changed over the years as well. I think this hop was actually called Equinox when it first came out, and then they changed it to Ekuanot maybe about a year or so afterwards. But yeah, both very nice hops, so it's interesting to see what they will do for us when we put them together. So yeah, as you can see with this beer, it's poured a lovely kind of bright yellow colour. If I shine the light through this one, it does have an orangey tint to it, so it's a bit of, it is actually more of a mid-level orange, but I think on the camera to you guys it will look a little bit more kind of yellowy than anything else. There's a solid half finger of a frothy, I would say creamy coloured head on this one. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, quite a few little ones going up towards the bottom of the head there, but you know, overall it looks pretty nice, and this is pretty much what you would expect from a New England IPA. If I put my fingers behind the behind the glass there you can see this one is pretty damn hazy, I have to say. You know, it depends as you go further up the alcohol scale with these beers. You've got more oats, you've got more wheat in them, so you will get a higher degree of haze out of them. But this, for a 6.5%er, I have to say the degree of haze in this is pretty damn impressive. So yeah, nothing overly surprising about this beer in terms of its appearance. Let's take a closer look at the aroma and just see how we get on. I have to admit, I am pretty excited for this one. Ooh, that is nice. The fruity notes out of this beer come across very, very nicely. So yeah, straight away with this one you get that lovely kind of soft passion fruity note that you expect of Simcoe. It does have a little bit of pungency to it, actually. Yeah, you have got a nice bit of a kind of passion fruity pungency coming out of this one. Yeah, it's actually, you know, Simcoe's always said it gives you usually a nice kind of almost more milky type of passion fruit note out of it, which is interesting. But the this one actually has a little bit more pungency to it. There's so many hops that can give you passion fruit. Citron its day can give you it. Galaxy and Victoria's Secret can give you it. Idaho 7. El Dorado, I'm sure, is actually one that can do it as well. There's a few of the New Zealand ones that can give you a good little bit of passion fruit as well, come to think of it, you know, like Kohatu and Rakau and things like that as well. There's quite a few New Zealand hops can give you these lovely kind of passion fruity notes as well. But I have to say, the thing that's getting me about the Simcoe in this one is that it comes across with just a little bit more pungency than I'm normally used to with Simcoe's. I always found it to be very kind of soft in its tropical fruit notes. So I do like how that goes together in this one. The aroma from the passion fruit is quite nice. There is a lot of lime to this one. To me, the lime kind of comes across as being even more pungent than the lime comes across as being even more pungent than the passion fruity notes in this one. I really think this beer leans a little bit more towards the kind of citrusy end of the spectrum. Yeah, I think the more and more I smell of it, it's the lime that really kind of rings true with the nose, if you like. So I mean, the aroma of this beer, it is pretty much, if you know these two hops, as I kind of do because of the amount of beers that I've tried on the channel over the years, it really gives you, on the fruity side of things, what you'd expect. Pretty much quite a solid lime and a bit of passion fruit in behind that as well. But I think the lime is just a little bit more prominent than the passion fruit, to be honest with you. So yeah, I like how that goes together. The fruity side of this one is pretty nice. The lime almost comes across as being a little bit wet, to be honest, which I think is very interesting. So yeah, in terms of the malt base then, let's focus on the malty side of the beer. It's kind of what you'd expect again. It's got a lovely kind of creaminess to it. You've got a little bit of a bitey wheatiness, which you get towards the back of the nose and on the sides of the nose as well. You can pick out that nice kind of oaty creaminess. There's a little bit of a biscuity character in there as well, and all of that sits on top of a little bit of a kind of smooth white bready note. But yeah, I find this one, it's quite well balanced between the oaty kind of creaminess that you'd expect of this beer style, but also the kind of wheaty qualities as well. I really like how this the malt base on this one goes together. I do think this one might be a little bit more wheaty than some of the other OO brewing ones that I remember having come across. So I don't know how much they tweak the recipe between different members of the 50/50 series. I'm not sure if, depending on the hop, they put a little bit more wheat in, or they put a little bit more oats in, or if they just leave the base the same and pretty much change the hops. I'm not sure exactly how they do it with this one, because, you know, obviously Ole has a very solid background in brewing these New England styles of beers, and the 6.5%, it always seems to be the same percentage and things as well, actually. So I'm not sure if all of these beers are pretty much the same kind of base, if you like. So yeah, it's interesting. The 100 series, I think, probably uses the same base as these two. But yeah, in terms of the kind of green side of the hops then, in terms of the green side of the hops, there's a very nice little touch of earthiness to this one, but quite minimal, to be honest with you. There's a lot of floral aromaticity coming out of the beer, and that's what you'd expect with the hops in this. As I say, Simcoe, I think, is about 11-12% alpha acid, and I'm sure Ekuanot is like 13 or 14%. I'm sure it's a little bit stronger. So you do have a nice little bit of floral aromaticity coming out of this one. It's not really dank, it is more of a kind of bright floral note, and you've got some really nice lighter grassy qualities coming out of this one as well. But yeah, really to me, this leans towards the citrusy and more wheaty end of the New England spectrum, actually. So I think it'll be a nice, interesting combination of flavours, this one. But if you know the hops, I think it's going to be one of these beers that's just, you know, solidly done, not surprising, to be honest with you. So yeah, let's have a taste of this and just see how we get on then. This one is the 50/50 Simcoe Ekuanot from OO Brewing in Gothenburg here in Sweden. New England IPA coming in at 6.5%, dual hopped, released on the 1st of June 2020 through the local Osmoskerid assortment and Systembolaget. Slange, skål, cheers. Yeah, it is kind of as you would expect. It's a lovely, smooth, drinkable New England IPA. I will say, you know, in the aroma, it was really given the impression that it was going to be more citrusy rather than anything else. But I will say it actually is very nicely balanced, to be honest with you. So I like how that goes together in this one. I'm not sure if this one will have been dry hopped or whether it's just late addition hops in the boil. Normally an IPA, of course, undergoes a 90-minute boil. I think that's the same, at least with the West Coast ones it did. I think with the New Englands it must be about the same. But yeah, the way that these the hoppy notes come out in this and the fruitiness comes out is really nice and just well balanced. Stupidly easy to drink that beer as well. But yeah, I like how it goes together. It's a thumbs up from me, this one. You know, and this is what we've come to expect from OO Brewing. If you know this brewery, this beer isn't really surprising. You know, it meets the same kind of standards that they always have with their beers. They're not going to put a bad IPA out there. You will get some that will blow you away every so often, like the Charismatico. So I think that probably is going to be the best beer that I've had from those guys for quite a while, actually. Charismatico is definitely the one to beat from this brewery. But yeah, this one, if you know this series that they do, this is another very solid example of it. It's not anything surprising, it's just really quite nice and well done. So this one gets a thumbs up from me. The hops in this one, Simcoe and Ekuanot, it's a little bit more of an unusual combination, I think. I'm pretty sure I have had beers that have had, you know, Simcoe and Ekuanot in it before, but probably with other hops like a little bit of Galaxy or Citra or something. So this one's interesting. I find that these hops, the two of them, this beer comes across as a little bit more reserved than some of the other ones that I've had, because, you know, the Mosaic and Citra that I've had before, and even the Mosaic and Simcoe, I think I remember those beers just being a little bit more kind of pungent almost in their flavours than this one. So this one to me takes a little bit of a step back and it comes across as a little bit more juicy and reserved, to be honest with you. But I think this is a very, I do enjoy this one. I do think this is a nice beer. So yeah, I like how that, I do like how that goes together. It gets, as I say, a thumbs up from me. So let's try and break down the flavour of this one then, and just see how we get on. Straight away you can feel that lovely, on the back 2/3 of your tongue, you get that lovely kind of pale malty, white bready kind of quality sitting there. If you go towards the back third of your tongue, you do get a nice little bit of a kind of wheaty bitiness coming out of the beer, which is really quite nice. I do enjoy that side of it. In the middle of your palate, I mean, there's not too much to report on the back part of the tongue, as I say, a little bit of a wheaty bitiness, maybe a few kind of grainy elements to the beer as well. But in the middle third of your tongue, that's where the kind of complexity to the malt base is. So you've got that nice kind of white bready, wheaty base there, which will be the, you know, that's the wheat, the base of the wheat, kind of giving you that as you move towards the kind of front, the border between the first third of your tongue and the middle third of your tongue. You've got that nice oaty creaminess coming out of it. You can feel the oats just kind of gradually thickening up a little bit as you move further forward, actually. So you do get a little bit of that pushing its way out of the beer. And in the centre of the palate, you've got a nice little bit of a sort of biscuity sweetness coming out of it. It's almost got a little bit of that Werther's Originally type thing to it, but more minimal. It is more of a kind of biscuity, McVitie's digestive, grainy sort of thing. So yeah. Yeah, I would stick with that on this one. It is, you know, it's pretty much a solid kind of creamy and smooth sort of bready malt base, this one. I do find this a little bit breadier than some of the other OO Brewing beers that I remember having had over the last while, but it does work out very nicely, I have to say. I do like how everything in this beer sort of pieces together. It's really pretty damn solid in what it's going for. So again, thumbs up to OO Brewing about this one. There's maybe one or two little slightly woody undertones. If you go to the front corners of the palate and move back a little bit, there is a wee slight woody undertone coming out of this beer as well. So I do like a few of the little complexities that it's got, but yeah, I think this one is really nice in terms of its malt base. A little bit more bready, as I say, than some of the other ones. On the hoppy side of things then, back corners of the palate, you've got a really nice little bit of earthiness that comes out of this one. As you move further forward along the sides of the palate, the earthiness does spread forward a little bit, then you start to get the floral notes kind of coming out of it, and as you reach the front corners of the palate, it's just got a little bit of a kind of, it does have a little bit of a spicy floral aromatic note to it, but it's not going to blow you away in terms, it's not going to blow the head off you in terms of IBUs. This beer, it is your typical sort of New England level bitterness, but as you go round the front curve of the palate, you do get a nice little bit of a lighter kind of grassy quality there. And then, of course, behind the front part of the tongue, behind the front curve of the tongue, that's where you get the oily bubble, where the juicy fruity esters just roll their way out of the beer. And again, if you know these hops, it's not doing anything overly surprising. So yeah, the more and more that I drink of this, the kind of pungency of the passion fruit just goes down a little bit. Simcoe, I really think, gives you a lovely smooth tropically note to it. So if you go towards the back of that front third of your tongue, you can feel it is mainly passion fruit. There is a little bit of that kind of darker, sort of almost soury character to it, but as you move further forward from it, it just brightens up and becomes a little bit lighter and sort of smoother. And then for the first half of that front third, or the back half of that front third of your tongue, it really is just smooth, tropically passion fruit. You might be forgiven for thinking there's a wee bit of a slightly mango-y, apricot-y papaya type flavour just evolving out of this one, but it is just a very smooth, sort of passion fruity quality for me. But then as you reach the very kind of front part of your tongue, you get the slightly oily, limey character coming out of this one, and you can almost feel the kind of citrusy zest of the lime moving around the front curve of the tongue as well, and kind of suppressing a little bit of the grassiness that the beer has. So yeah, it's interesting how that side of it comes together. These two hops, they're quite an interesting combination. I think the lime, the lime from the Ekuanot, I think dominates the, well, it doesn't dominate, I think it slightly overpowers the, or it slightly pushes the passion fruity notes from the Simcoe back a little bit. I think the Ekuanot is the slightly more dominant hop in this beer, but it certainly works in terms of flavour. The limes come across as nice and juicy. I mean, if you've got a lemony hop, the other one would be like Centennial. Centennial is a very lemony, sherbety type hop. You've got a few other hops that can also offer you the kind of lemony notes as well. You've got the Motueka from New Zealand. What's the other one? There is another New Zealand one that gives you these sort of things. But yeah, Motueka. Cashmere can give you a good bit of lime along with melons. And I think it's the Styrian Dragon or the Styrian Fox, one of those two hops from Slovenia, can give you some really lemon-limey type notes as well. But the Ekuanot, from what I remember, is pretty much straight up lime, and you really get that out of this one. You get a lovely kind of juicy lime sort of splash on the kind of front edge of your tongue as well. So yeah, it's a really interesting combination, this one. It's quite unusual to find these hops together on their own, if you like, without like Citra, a slightly more pungent hop like Citra or Galaxy or something like that. But I think it does work. If you like a more limey leaning New England IPA, this is one that I think you will pretty much enjoy. But to be honest, I view these beers as being, the 50/50 series as being a bit more educational, and it's interesting to learn about the sort of combination of flavours that you get from these. So this one really sort of sticks to my expectations I had from both of these hops. Simcoe is a very soft, smooth sort of passion fruity hop, whereas the Ekuanot is quite a nice kind of strong limey one. But I will say I didn't realise the Ekuanot could be so sort of wet and juicy, if you like. So that's something I need to take away from this review and remember when I have other beers with Ekuanot in it in the future. But yeah, I like how this one, I really like how this goes together. It's a solid New England IPA. As I say, if you know this brewery and you know these hops, there's nothing overly surprising about this. It is just really well done, to be honest with you. So yeah, mouthfeel wise, mid-bodied, carbonation is very, very smooth in this one. I think it is pretty much sitting in the middle of the spectrum in terms of its mouthfeel. As I say, the mouthfeel overall, I find it very smooth. There's a little bit of an oily character to it, But yeah, very, very smooth, and a nice kind of, a nice just enjoyable smooth carbonation coming out of this one. So yeah, I like that about this beer. Very smooth, slightly oily New England IPA. In terms of the hoppy bitterness, I think we're looking at the typical 25 or 30 IBUs that you would expect of the style. The malt base has a nice kind of bready smoothness to it. It gets a little bit creamy and slightly sweet the further you go into the aftertaste, but you've got some nice juicy, fruity characters that come out of it as well. It's got a little bit of a citrusy zest, but it's also got some softer, juicy, tropical fruits in there as well. So I really like how this one, I really do like how this one goes together in terms of the different flavours and things. So thumbs up from me. If you get the chance to try any of the beers in this 50/50 series, I recommend that you do. Read up a little bit on the hops beforehand if you don't know them already, because it can be really interesting just to educate yourself on that. As I say, I wish that they would do more 100 series beers as well from OO, and I do wish that they would do like a West Coast version of this as well, with a slightly higher bitterness and a little bit more of a kind of sweet caramelly malt base as well. I'd love to see them do a 50/50 New England and a 50/50 West Coast, so hopefully that's something that they can look at in the near future. But yeah, I think it's busy times for this brewery because of COVID and the fact that they're expanding. But yeah, a very, very nice Swedish brewery, this one, and this is a series of beers that I really do recommend that you check out. So yeah, let's leave it at that. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from OO Brewing as well. And hopefully I can catch you guys soon with a review of the Nova. I need to see if I can get that through Systembolaget. Check out this one, check out OO Brewing, and I will catch you guys later. Slàinte, skål, cheers. Make sure you check out this beer, a really lovely, more citrusy, juicy New England IPA. Skål.